Picture two women. The first is a princess, born in a room at Windsor Castle, a great-granddaughter of Queen Victoria, dressed in silk at a coronation, related by blood or marriage to half the royal houses of Europe. The second is a stooped old woman in a plain gray nun's habit, who owns almost nothing, who is hiding a Jewish family in her home while the Gestapo stand in her doorway, asking questions she pretends she cannot hear. These are the same person. The distance between those two images is one of the most extraordinary lives of the 20th century, and almost nobody knows it, because for most of it, the world had decided she was mad. This is the story of how a deaf princess became a spy against the Nazis, and why her own family spent years pretending she didn't exist. She was born in 1885, and she was born deaf. As a small child, Alice of Battenberg couldn't understand why the people around her moved their mouths and sounds seemed to come out. So she taught herself, painstakingly, to read lips, and not just in one language. She learned to lip read in English, in German, in French, and later in Greek. Remember that detail. The disability the world would use to dismiss her was, in fact, a rare and specific skill. She could understand what people were saying without hearing a single word. It would one day help save lives. In 1903, she married Prince Andrew of Greece, and for a while, her life looked like the fairy tale it was supposed to be. Then, the 20th century arrived, and it did to her what it did to so many European royals. It took everything. Greece lost a war her husband was partly blamed for. The family was driven into exile, not once, but repeatedly, fleeing the country, losing their status, their money, their home. And under that relentless pressure, something in Alice began to break. By 1930, she was behaving erratically and claiming to receive messages from Christ and the Buddha. She was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. What happened next is genuinely hard to hear. Alice was forcibly removed from her family, taken from her home, and placed in a sanatorium in Switzerland against her will. The doctors who examined her included some of the most famous names in the history of psychiatry. Her case was even referred to Sigmund Freud himself, and Freud's recommendation, for a woman whose central problem was that she believed she was talking to God, was that her ovaries should be bombarded with X-rays to kill off her sex drive, which he decided was the root of it. This was the state of the art. This was what the most advanced medicine of the age offered a princess. She spent years in institutions. While she was locked away, her marriage dissolved, and her 4 daughters all married German princes. She was not invited to a single one of their weddings. She missed all of them. For a stretch of the 1930s, Alice of Battenberg effectively vanished from her own family's life. And that is the before. Here is the after. If a princess erased by her own family and written off by the founder of psychoanalysis is already not the story you expected, hit that like button. It tells me these are exactly the lives worth digging back up. Tell me in the comments if you'd ever heard her name before today. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Because what this mad woman did during the war is the part history left out. By the early 1940s, Alice had pulled herself back. She had recovered enough to return to Greece, and she went back to Athens, just in time for the German occupation. Most of her royal relatives had fled or were connected to the Allied side. Her own son, Philip, was serving in the British Royal Navy, fighting the Axis. Alice stayed, an impoverished, deaf, formerly institutionalized princess alone in an occupied city, doing relief work for the poor and the starving. Then, in 1943, the Nazis began deporting Greece's Jews to the death camps, and a Jewish family she knew, the Cohens, from the town of Trikala, came to her with a desperate request. "Hide us. There is nowhere else." Alice took them in. She hid members of the Cohen family in her apartment in Athens, and she kept them hidden for over a year, 13 months, through the entire remainder of the occupation, an act that, if discovered, would have meant death. And she was very nearly discovered. The Gestapo grew suspicious of this strange, solitary princess and brought her in for questioning. This is where the deafness stops being a tragedy and becomes a weapon. Under interrogation, Alice simply played deaf, genuinely deaf, which she was, pretending she could not understand a single question they asked her. She let them believe she was a confused, harmless old woman who couldn't follow the conversation, and the whole time, she could read every word on their lips. She knew exactly what they were asking. She just gave them nothing. The Cohens survived the war, all of them. Alice never spoke of it as heroism. After the war, she did something that surprised everyone who thought they had her figured out. She gave the rest of her life away. In 1949, she founded an order of Greek Orthodox nursing nuns, took a gray habit, and lived from then on in near poverty, having given away almost everything she owned to the poor. When someone pointed out she had no money left, she is said to have replied simply that you cannot take it with you. The princess born at Windsor Castle died in 1969, owning essentially nothing. But she had left one instruction. She wanted to be buried in Jerusalem, on the Mount of Olives. It took nearly 20 years to arrange, but in 1988, her remains were moved there to a convent overlooking the old city. And in 1993, the State of Israel formally recognized Princess Alice of Battenberg as righteous among the nations, the honor given to non-Jews who risked their lives to save Jews during the Holocaust. The woman her doctors wanted to sterilize, the mother her daughters married without inviting, the princess the world quietly agreed was insane, has her name carved at Yad Vashem among the righteous. Her son Philip once put it plainly when asked about his mother and what she did. She was, he said, a person with deep religious faith, and she would have considered it a totally human action to help fellow human beings in distress. The world spent decades deciding what was wrong with Alice of Battenberg. It never quite got around to noticing what was extraordinary about her. If you want more stories like this one, real, forgotten, hidden in the details the official version leaves out, watch the video that's on your screen right now. Here on It Sounds Like Fiction. But it's history. There's always one more secret waiting.